So, what does the digital heartbeat of a life-saving service actually look like? It's not just the flashing lights and the sirens. Behind every single emergency response, there's this hidden blueprint, this kind of organizational DNA that dictates how all the people and all the equipment come together when things get serious. Today, we're going to decode that blueprint. Okay, I know what you're thinking. At first glance, this just looks like a crazy web of boxes and lines, right? But believe me, this is the master plan. This is the operational engine for an entire ambulance service, and I promise, by the end of this, you're going to be able to read this thing like a map. Before we dive in, let's just get one key term out of the way: a database schema. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like an architect's blueprint for a house, right? Before you can even lay one brick, that blueprint shows you where every room, every hallway, every door goes, and exactly how they all connect. Well, this schema does the exact same thing, but for information. So, here's our game plan for how we're going to tackle this together. First, we'll look at the basic building blocks, the people and their gear. Then, we'll see how the system cleverly links those people up to form actual teams. After that, we'll get into the operational engine that schedules and sends those teams out. And finally, we'll pull way back and ask the big question: what does all this tell us about what an ambulance service really values? All right, let's start with the absolute basics. Any system, and I mean any system, no matter how complicated it looks, is always built from just a few simple, understandable parts. In this case, it's all about the people, the tools they use, and where they work. And because we're talking about an emergency service, everything, and I mean everything, begins and ends with the people on the front lines. So let's see how this system organizes its most important asset, its staff. Now, what's so interesting here is that the system doesn't just have one big bucket labeled employees. Nope, it gets incredibly specific. You can see there are separate, distinct boxes, not just for staff in general, but for really specific roles like drivers, assistants, and even managers. Every single job has its own clear, defined place. And this slide really drives that point home. See, in this system's world, a driver isn't just an assistant who happens to know how to drive. They are a totally distinct thing, with their own unique driver ID, completely separate from an assistant with their own assistant ID. That level of precision is absolutely critical for knowing exactly who you have on your team at any given moment. Okay, so we have our people, and they're all highly organized, but they can't do much without their most important piece of equipment. So yeah, let's look at the vehicles. And just like with the staff, the system tracks its vehicles with some serious precision. It's got a master list of every ambulance, of course, but it goes way deeper. It connects each vehicle to other tables that define its specific type and even its passenger capacity. So the system doesn't just know which vehicle is which, it knows what kind of vehicle it is and exactly how many patients it can handle. This isn't just an inventory list, it's a tactical overview of your resources. So now we've got our core components. We have the people and we have the vehicles. But, a single driver or an individual assistant can't respond to an emergency all by themselves. They need to be a crew. So the next logical question is, how does this digital blueprint actually put them together to form a working team? I mean, this is the key question, isn't it? The system has a list of all the qualified drivers over here and a list of all the qualified assistants over there. So how does it play matchmaker? How does it digitally pair them up to create one single unit that can be assigned to a vehicle and a shift? And the magic happens right here. This central table, ambulance crew, this is the digital glue. It acts like a bridge. It grabs the unique ID for a driver, grabs the ID for an assistant, and boom, it links them together to create a brand new thing, a crew. This is the exact moment where individuals officially become a team in the eyes of the system. Okay, the team roster is set. The crew is assembled. Now, it's time to put them to work. This next part is the most dynamic piece of the whole system. It's the logistical heart that manages all the schedules, the shifts, and the deployments. And it happens like a precise digital ballet. First, the team gets formed, just like we saw. Second, that new crew gets assigned to a specific shift, say the day shift. Third, that assignment gets officially logged in the master schedule for everyone to see. And finally, the system pairs that crew and their shift with a specific ambulance. It's a perfect chain of events. And here, you can actually see that logistical heart beating. These tables are basically the system's air traffic control. They're all in constant communication, making sure that for any given minute of the day, the right people are matched with the right vehicle ready to go. This is where the whole plan turns into real-world action. Okay, so we've broken down the how all the pieces connect and how the system actually works. But now let's zoom back out and ask the really important question, why? What does this incredibly detailed structure tell us about the core values of an ambulance service? The first priority that just jumps right out at you is that qualifications are absolutely non-negotiable. The fact that there's a whole separate table just for qualifications, that tells you everything. It says that tracking skills and certifications isn't some optional extra, it is a fundamental pillar of how they operate. It's the system's guarantee that the people responding to your call have the proven skills to handle it. The second huge priority is just pure logistical precision. I mean, the sheer number of tables dedicated just to scheduling and assignments shows an obsession with efficiency. And it makes sense, right? In this line of work, a 5-minute delay from a scheduling mix-up isn't just an inconvenience. It can be the difference between life and death. The system is designed from the ground up to eliminate that risk. And the third priority is just rigorous resource management. Those tables for vehicles and their capacities, they are not just a simple list of what's in the garage. They're an active management tool. The system knows which ambulance is equipped for a heart attack versus a car crash, and which one can carry multiple patients. It's all about making sure every critical, expensive piece of equipment is used for maximum impact. And it all comes down to this one core idea. A system's design is never an accident. Its structure is a direct reflection of the values of the organization it's built for. And this blueprint shows us, clear as day, that an ambulance service values expertise, precision, and the smart management of its life-saving resources above all else. So we've just navigated the digital DNA of a single ambulance service. It's complex, it's logical, and it's built for one purpose, to save lives. Now, if this is the level of detail it takes just for the ambulance service, just try to imagine the staggering complexity of the blueprint for an entire hospital.